How shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Summer's day? That's summer's day! What is that even supposed to mean? How about I compare you to my favorite Bitcoin? I'd really just, I'd prefer a letter instead. How about some Leonardo DiCaprio memes? That's all I've got. Hi, hello, my name's Token and welcome back to the Devil's Advocates podcast. And today we're going to be talking about memes as Victorian letters. You heard me right. Those two things should not be in the same sentence, but they are, because I decided they will be. I'm going to go into the purpose of letters and memes before and now, the benefits of memes, the historical significance of memes, and then probably everyone's favorite part of the video will be rating memes in relation to their usability as a Victorian love letter. You heard me right. What was the purpose of memes and letters before versus now? Well, of course, letters have not always solely just been for romance. It's been used for several different things. It's used for everything. It's used for finances, it's used for medical documents, etc., etc. But specifically, what both memes and letters both have in common is that they try to communicate an idea. One uses only text, and one uses a mixture of text and image. And at times, we can also use GIFs under this as well. This can be used for education now. An example of this purpose of education when it comes to memes, in an article related to memes, it's stated, "Now, as a teacher, educator, and cohes, Rice is collecting and analyzing sets of these micro and macro trends. She believes any memes can be utilized for teaching and learning through understanding technical construction, formal aesthetic response, media context, and social context." So guys, if you don't have friends and you can't understand people, then totally just study memes. Yeah. So what are the benefits of memes before we get into ranking all of my 54 of them? As per usual for every video that I do, you can find every single reference that I quote in this in my description below on my YouTube video when it comes out from the National Library of Medicine, a study regarding memes and the usefulness of it. Memes function as emotionally salient and visually potent carriers of health-related narratives. While they can simplify complex messages and foster adaptive humor during crisis, they are also susceptible to distortion, particularly in echo chambers and conspiracy communities. Findings reveal that misinformation-laden memes often leverage humor and disgust to bypass critical thinking, and their viral potential is linked to emotional intensity. However, memes have also been successfully integrated into pre-bunking strategies, increasing engagement, and reducing susceptibility to false claims when culturally tailored. In other words, with great power comes great responsibility, and with great memes comes great possibility for misinformation. So another study that I have in regards to it being useful with teaching particularly is from UMN News. They found in regard to teaching, a teacher saw it had an impact on critical thinking and rapport among her students, and gave her a boost with relating to her daughter outside of the classroom. It improves critical thinking, again, if it's tailored. If it's tailored properly, then it's good. Another benefit of memes, we can process images a lot quicker than we can long words of text. What's the historical significance of memes and letters? Specifically, we're going to go into memes, but letters, it's kind of just been, that's how we communicate. We need to be able to get across messages to one another, document history, document medical records, document legal battles, and just advance further as a society in general. You have to be able to write. An example of memes throughout history is, whenever you're writing not whenever yeah, I know you are. Whenever one writes inappropriate things on the walls, like if you're in school and someone's like, ha 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 ha, you smell like a turd, that technically could have been considered a meme, at least according to CNN. I wouldn't put it as that. I'd put it as like locker room terrible talk. People have different definitions, I guess. That's why lawyers have jobs. And then, those old-timey photos of people who dressed up their cats and then took photos of them still. That's another example that CNN uses as old-time, memes and whatnot that we still do now. Memes essentially have been, well, not all of them have been the same thing over time. They have evolved. But one that has stayed the same over, not millennia, but years and years, is that we don't like how we look differently when someone takes a natural photo of us unprompted. Or, whenever you're like, how I look in the mirror or how I look in the camera or whatever, and be like, and one of them's terrible, and then you look great in the mirror or something. Another benefit of memes that I honestly wouldn't have even predicted whenever I was younger, the uprise of Duolingo. It's hard to argue that Duolingo is not a meme now, because a company threatening to literally you if you don't do your French homework, I don't know. For me, that was so out of what I thought was possible for a business. Companies were always very separated from Hollywood or anything generally considered entertainment, in my brain at least. So whenever I saw a company being like, oh, we're actually going to lean into this. This is going to be our meme, essentially. That's iconic. With the evolution of memes, we've essentially gotten mascots who are figureheads of brands. And I know you're going to be like, what are you talking about? There's not multiple mascots of it. We just had Duolingo. What? Actually, there is another mascot out there that is also a language learning app and has their own mascot. And they're also coming to get you if you do not do your language learning. Why is that? Out of all of the memes that you could have chose to market your brand, you could have pulled out Shia LaBeouf. You could have pulled, I don't know, The Rock selling a shampoo brand. That would have been ironic. But no, what did you decide to do? You decided to have another hitman. Since we already have two, I would actually pay good money to see several more companies engage in this and then have their own mascot for essentially marketing. Imagine you tell your parents, you're just like, oh my god, I graduated from college, I got my first job. Oh my god, we're so proud of you, honey. What job did you get? What do you do for a living? And then you look them dead in the eye and you're like, oh yeah, I'm the egg in the mattress video. And then they have a yearly, mascot fight-off. I've seen on the internet a couple videos of just, regular mascots from, the NFL, or not the NFL, but, from sports and whatnot, and, they fight each other. I would pay so much money to see that Duolingo bird and that heirloom cat go up against each other in a battle, 1v1. And then I would feel bad for Duo, though. Duo is at a natural disadvantage because, it is the prey to a cat. But I would pay so much money to just see all of these businesses duke it out. Or not duke it out, but these mascots of the businesses duke it out. And then they could also have, a battle royale of, oh yeah, all of them fight each other at once or whatever. New Mr. Beast video just dropped. You have all of the mascots of every big important company, and then you have them fighting each other for $1 million. We want to get into ranking memes as love letters. I'm going to describe the pictures themselves, I'm gonna determine later on, editing me, if I'm gonna go out of my way and find every single photo that I'm gonna put in here for the video. I will have it showing on the screen in my YouTube video, but if you are a podcast listener, I'm just going to describe which meme that I am talking about, and if you don't know it, you're gonna have to look it up. So we have John Pork is calling. If you don't know what John Pork is calling, it is this picture of this really, I believe, roughly an AI image of a pork human combination, and it says John Pork is calling over a phone message. When it comes to this one as a Victorian love letter, let's say we're going back, and I think this would not woo any lady or lad in the Victorian era. I think they would be very appalled and actually very scared, unless they live on a farm and they're just like, yeah, I've seen some really weird looking humanoid pigs before. I think they generally feel a bit unsettled if I was in the Victorian era. So I rated that a 1 out of 5. Not very romantic. Does not get the point across of I love my partner, or my partner loves me. And the second one that we're going to talk about is the lizard meme. If you don't know the lizard meme, it is a lizard pressing a button over and over and over again, and it has the audio of saying lizard over and over and over again. Depending on the context of how this is used, I can see it being very, very cute. Now, would it help a Victorian individual? Actually, I'm going to drop the Victorian part. This is just going to be as a love letter in general to another individual. But I could see it being used like, oh, they're pressing the button, lizard, and then it'd be like, every time I press the button is how much I love you, or whatever. It'd be like, lizard, 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 lizard. 3 out of 5 stars. Now, this isn't necessarily a meme, per se, in the traditional sense, but I am going to count it as a meme, because it's created a lot of them as well. I would say if you make a personalized tier list for your partner, I think if you go out of your way to make a personalized one for your lover, then I think that is inherently sweet. The only time I can see that not being sweet is if it's something like really rude. If it's like, oh yeah, tier list just dropped, it's mentioning all of the things, all of the characteristics about my partner that I dislike. So as long as it's used in a sweet format, it can be so good. I'm going to put that as a 4 out of 5 stars in my rating. Alright, and now we're on to Kermit the Frog memes. This isn't specifically any one Kermit the Frog meme, because he's very prolific in his work. Kermit's very prolific in the world of memes. He knows his way around, alright? So, when I am referencing Kermit memes in relation to, your lover, I don't think the majority of his memes are very romantic. I don't think any of them are. One of the most popular ones is based primarily around judgment. And it's the one where he's drinking tea and he's looking out, and it's usually used of like, not my business, or like, me whenever this happens, and it'd be like, and then there's the other ones where he's kind of like has like a crushed head and he looks disfigured or whatever, or the ones where he's even like falling off of a building. There's just some Kermit ones where he's just I don't think Kermit is inherently romantic. I think you could definitely have a lot of bonding with your significant other in relation to sending Kermit memes with one another. Do I think it's gonna be romantic? No. And I love Kermit, and I love his memes, and I hate to do it to him, but he's gonna get a lower rating because of it. He's gonna get a 2 out of 5. Because while it can be good with bonding, it truly isn't necessarily inherently specific to relational bonding when it comes to romance. Now, as a meme between friends, he's a good like 4.5 out of 5. I'll give him I love me a good Kermit meme. And this is a very broad one again. Podcast listeners, this is like any fictional headcanon. And if you don't know what a headcanon is, there's canon and then headcanons when it comes to any form of fictional media or whatever. So let's say you really enjoyed the Harry Potter series. A headcanon could be you think Harry Potter really enjoys. I don't know anything about Harry Potter, so this is a bad example, but a lot of people do. So let's say you headcanon that Harry Potter has a bunch of snow globes in his house. I have no idea if he. I mean, he lived he lived under a staircase. I don't think that'd be very conducive to a bunch of globes on the walls. I feel like those would break very quickly. Not only would he live under the not only would he live under the stairs, but he'd probably live in blood puddles due to the glass. A headcanon would be you don't have any, it's not true specific to the literature itself or whatever piece of media that you're consuming with these fictional characters, but you think this person would have this thing or do these things. It can be behaviors as well. So when I'm saying headcanon as a meme to reference between you and your lover or whatever, I'm talking about you love a very, like, one piece of media that you really enjoy. It could be literally anything. It doesn't have to be anime. It doesn't have to be a children's book series like Harry Potter. Like, let's say you just really love Grey's Anatomy. If you send your partner a meme of two people who are dating from Grey's Anatomy and how their relationship is significant or, you know, relates well to yours and be like, oh, this is us, or that's so cute, or whatever. That's what I'm talking about when it comes to sending a relationship headcanon meme to your partner. And these, I think, can be very effective, again, as long as they're used, as long as all of these are used in a nice way and not a malicious way. That is what my ratings are based upon. So these can be very, very sweet, in my opinion. If it really encapsulates the depth of your relationship with the other individual, making both of you feel seen, I think it's really good. But I don't think it's the best, and I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next one we're going to talk about is Superman, from the new Superman movie. The meme that I'm talking about is where he is looking up and he's smiling or whatever, and I believe it's from in the movie where he's like, and I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. And I'm a punk rocker, yes I am. I think that's what it is, and he looks very happy and content. And that has been used as a couple of memes throughout. I mean, of course, that's one meme that's been popular lately. So using that one in relation to, you know, sending a meme to your lover or whatever, I think that can also be very sweet. I think Clark does put a little wrench in the sweetness. not that Clark isn't nice, but it's kind of like an uncomfortable observer to the situation at hand. Whereas when it comes to headcanoning, you know, random fictional characters, at least you have like a relationship to work off of. This is just a guy staring at you smiling. Which, the only difference between that and, you know, Slenderman is the guy has a face. Be a good one. The Superman meme could be very sweet, but it would have to be a very specific response or whatever. Like, it could be like me when I think about my lovely girlfriend, or my lovely boyfriend, or my lovely partner. But I don't see it being much of an in-depth one related to your relationship between one another to be like, oh my gosh, I feel so seen. It's just more or less like, I love you. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's great. That's why I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Another meme I'm going to talk about is the Coldplay photo. Not the Coldplay as in the band. I'm talking about the cheating Coldplay photo. A guy who ran an important company got caught cheating on his wife due to Coldplay shining their light on them and having the screen on their face, and he was holding her in his arms, and that's the photo that is the reference. As a meme, and sending that to your partner, I do think that's genuinely the sign of doom and gloom in the relationship. Either they have already cheated, they're going to cheat, or they want to cheat. Or it could be all three. The only time I can think of this meme being sent to your significant other, like let's say you we're sending it in relation to someone else that both of you knew, that the other person cheated on the other person, and you're kind of being like, oh yeah, this person was kind of like the Coldplay guy, or like it'd have to be a very specific situation in which you had mutual friends and someone got caught cheating similarly to how Coldplay did, and be like, hey, this was similar to that if you haven't seen it. Genuinely, if you have the Coldplay meme and you're sending it to your significant other, that is a sign that it is going south very quickly. Very, very quickly. So I am rating that a negative infinity out of 5. Is that against the rules? I made the rules, so why would that matter? Next one I want to talk about is the dog's eyes that are closed. For my audio listeners, if you don't know what that one is, it is essentially, it's like a Labrador Retriever, I think. But I know it's a dog that's brown and it has its eyes closed, and I believe there's a bunch of like light in the background, and it's kind of like they're looking and like accepting their fate, like, oh my gosh. So if you're sending one of those to your romantic partner in relation to your relationship, I think that's definitely a better sign than the Coldplay one, but also, it could also signal, oh wow, I am cooked. Like, I mean, you wouldn't send that to your partner, but maybe that's the final stage of grief, is acceptance, and you're even showing the acceptance to your partner. That kind of gives off the vibe of, like, people who know that they messed up on a dating app, and whenever they get there and they're just like, actually, I'm sorry, or whatever. And then, because they know the other person's going to screenshot it and either show it to their friends, or they're going to post it on the internet and be like, what did I just experience? But, because I've seen, like, 2 of those before, I'm like, that's hilarious that you were like, I just saw what I did, and I'm sorry. At least they apologize. That's the important part. But as for a rating of, using this meme in relation to your partner and sending it to them, I would say it's very peak relatability. It can be very funny. It could even be, I don't think it's more of a sweet one, because we're going to go into other sweet ones, but it definitely can be bonding over, like, oh, just this thing happened throughout my day. It's not necessarily romantic, but it's so good just bonding with another person. I'm going to give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. And then the next one we have is Zendaya's hat. If you haven't seen this meme before, then I'm going to describe it. Well, if you haven't seen her before, she's an actress, very beautiful, and there's this meme of her wearing this giant black hat. I don't know what type of hat it would be considered. I guess like a really big bowl hat? Maybe. But using this to send to your significant other, I would say it's generally pretty useless. Unless you're Tom Holland, getting a picture of Zendaya in a large hat, I don't see how that can relate to your everyday life. At least with the dog, it could have a very easy day-to-day relatability. There's not. It's just fun. It's a little bit like, it's a classic. It's a classic like the William Dafoe pictures. So I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5 stars. The next one is Cynthia Erivo. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and I'm sorry if I butchered it. But the meme that I'm talking about in relation to her is the one of her scratching her head that got very popular. If you're an audio listener, it's a bit like ones that I've seen of it. It can be used very judgy and or to get the thing of like, oh, I shouldn't have seen that, or I'm gonna ignore that, that type of vibe. I would say that's like if you're sending that for your partner as a love letter or whatever, I would say that's really good on the day-to-day bonding one. It's not as good as the dog one. There's nothing that receives the peak uncomfortability or radical acceptance of one's fate as that dog meme, but it is really good. And oh wow, that's being judgy with. I would give it a solid 3 out of 5 stars in relation to bonding with your significant other. The next meme is gonna be Patrick Star drooling. Yep, you heard me, and this is gonna be one of the sweeter ones. And I know you're probably gonna be like, what are you even talking about? How is that? What? For my audio listeners, if you haven't seen this one before, it's essentially, if you've seen SpongeBob, there is like an episode, I believe, where he acts like a cowboy or something, but it shows he's in a very thoughtless state, and I believe he has some spit going down his face or whatever. If he doesn't, he looks very dazed and he does not look intelligent. Not to be rude to Patrick, I don't wanna lower the star's self-esteem, but it's definitely not a flattering photo of Patrick the Star, and he looks very dazed and unintelligent. This meme has the potential to be very romantic in that you could use it for complete adoration for the individual that you're dating and be like, me, whenever I think about how I got blessed or whatever with my partner or whatever, and it just doesn't compute, and it's just, oh. I will say for that, I think it's cute, and I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Alright, and now the next one we're gonna have is Dexter. And the one I'm gonna be referencing is the Dexter meme of him like staring out into space. And it looks like he has the 5,000 yards, or the 1,000 yard stare from that other meme. But if you don't know who Dexter is literally a serial killer who kills other killers, and that's his whole TV show and shtick. Unless you're using it as general relatability, which I'm a little concerned if you can so openly relate to a serial killer. I'm very concerned. But if you're using it in terms of romance, it's not romance. He kills people. He unalives people. That's not romantic. I'm gonna give it a 0. This meme is, if you haven't seen The Lord of the Rings, one of the main characters, he has this very famous interview of him be like, will you wear wigs? When will you wear wigs? Maybe. That's one of his other iconic memes. That's not the one that I'm referencing. I am referencing the meme of him being like in a turtleneck and there's sparkles around him. Like, if you're a more feminine individual, whether you are a man or a woman, and you want to send a meme to another person to encapsulate that, I think that would be so great, because you're just a girl or just a lad. You're just a girl who will wear wigs. So I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars because it's a real good one. Maybe not a lot of usability, but God, when it is used, it's good. If you have seen Goob from Meet the Robinsons, then you're gonna know who I'm talking about. If you don't know who Goob is, he's essentially this like outcast kid in a movie who is an orphan, and he never learns how to be social and rots in his room and wants to take revenge on people. But there is a picture of him who, whenever he's younger and he's like about to go in, like he looks very feral and about to fight somebody, and like he has like anger in his eyes. I think this one's a lot less disarming. This one's not as alarming as Dexter because it's a child. And I think if you're sending it to be like, I love you so much or whatever, as in like aggressive love, but like mutual aggressive love, to be like, I love you so much, you are the center of my universe, and you send that to your partner, that's adorable. But you also scare me. My rating for that, I think it's very aggressive, very, very much so in your face, love you, and out there, but I am slightly scared, and I respect it, and that's a 4.5 out of 5 stars as a meme to send to your partner as a love letter. Alright, and then we're gonna have Zonked Woody. If you send that to your partner, I think you've tasted colors. If you're doing it sober, I'm kind of scared. Kind of like the Goob one of sending to your partner. I'm a little scared if that's what you think when you're like, oh, the love of my life. Who am I gonna send, Woody after he's been out to a bar? They're not thinking straight, and they're probably drunk texting you it. So I'm giving it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. And now we're gonna get into the jester memes. I felt like it would be very fitting for me to address these on my podcast because I'm not a jester technically. I know I definitely could look like one. I'm not technically a jester. This entity is not one. And although I do have rings on my arms, they're not blouses to a jester's corset or whatever it is that they wear. This is just something that I wear. When I'm talking about jesters in relation to a meme that you can send to your partner, I am talking about the really popular ones as of late, where the jester charming the princess, and it being like, oh, the jester is so handsome, blah, 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 blah. So if you are dating somebody and you're sending somebody some jester memes, it's so very romantic. I would give it a 4.8 out of 5 stars. And then this one is the chain breaking meme. If you don't know this one, it's pretty self-explanatory. I believe there's both a female and male version of the chain breaking meme where, it's a shadow figure of a person and then they have their hands up to the sky. The sky, I believe, is like orange behind them. And then they move their hands outward to signal that they've broken a chain, and you can see the shadow of a chain being broken. But if you are sending this to your partner, and it's in direct relation to your partner, this is the destroyer of relationships. If you're sending this to somebody that you've had a relationship or are going to have one with, or you had one with, that's over. It is over. The only time I could think it would be used and it wouldn't be negative is if you're like, I'm finally free from my job, and then you're like, I'm breaking the chains or whatever, or I'm finally free from this thing that I'm struggling with. That's also getting a negative infinity, because it is another sign or harbinger of doom if it comes through as a meme. Alright, so that's the end of the video today. Today we went over the purpose of letters before and now, and the purpose of memes before and now, the benefits of memes, the historical significance of memes, and then we went and rated several different memes in relation to using them as a love letter to send to your partner potentially. And if you want me to do another video of these and just going through several other memes, I will gladly do so. My name is Token, this is Theta. I hope you guys like, follow, and subscribe, and we will see you all later. Token is a in this purgatory based on to create my number awaits.